Hello, everybody. Welcome to an all new YouTube live for Hurrdat Entertainment. And you know what? It's a real good one because it's Friday. Also, I realize it's already a month since my birthday. I'm a month into this 33rd year of my life. It's going well. Also, so here's what we're going to talk about today. OC. Did you watch last night? I'm going to tell you about something on OC that kind of was I didn't like. And then we're also going to talk about somebody that's in the OC, though we don't know her from the OC. That's Jacqueline Laurita, some financial woes that she's got going on. And then we're going to wrap up talking about our Miami ladies, celebrate some successes they've had, and discuss the seating chart from the reunion, which filmed this week. So let's get started. If you're watching this week's episode of Real Housewives of Orange County, I believe it was mentioned last week too, maybe. But there's this whole thing going around with like Tamra and, insinuating or insisting that Jen is like crazy white female, single white female, wanting to like live her life or something. And it transpires somehow into Tamra sharing an old photo of Jen, which number one, nasty. But number two, what's bothering me is how easily and freely these women are throwing out the term fatty photo. It's like they're saying yes and no. Like it's that's how like common this phrase sounds to them. I've never heard fatty photo. And if I'm talking about a fatty photo, mine's a little bit different, if you know what I'm saying. And those are more celebrated than whatever this nasty mess is. Because in what world is that? Oh, I just think that term is so ugh and like bad. And it's giving kind of like bully-ish, like just whatever happened to the word. She brought up an old photo of me from like when I look different, or, I just think I don't know how the term fatty photo came up and everyone jumped on the bandwagon. I want to need everybody to get off the fatty photo bandwagon, please. Another bandwagon I need to get off of, everyone to get off of, is honestly, I'm kind of getting bored by the Gretchen Tamra stuff. I feel like it's a rehashing of things and there's not any movement being made. And I think, unfortunately for Gretchen, with Tamra saying it's the same stuff over 12 years, the same stuff over 12 years. Yes, it is, but it's a two-way street. Like she's kind of insinuating that Gretchen is the one leading this repetitive argument and redundant conversation, when it's like, you're kind of pointing out the same things from all these years ago too. And so I'm like, we got to move on. Not even move on, but like agree to disagree on camera. Like we're not talking about it anymore. I don't know, because it's just feeling, I'm like, come on, let's do more. I feel kind of the same even with Katie. I feel like every week is just an opportunity to try and further their issues with Katie and to prove something against Katie. And it's like, I don't know. I'm kind of just getting a little tired of it. I'm like, where is like the story? Where are the personal stories? I know we like drama, absolutely, but give us something, and I just feel like, I don't know. And even too, watching that, and this has kind of been like a little, I guess trope, as you could call it, thing. It's like a notice thing in the world of housewives whenever they bring up cast trips, because obviously we know behind the fourth wall that all this stuff is produced and like their trips are well planned in advance, and the ladies have to find a way to integrate it into their lives or story to have the conversation and invite others on the trip. The ladies are headed to New Orleans this week. They did head to New Orleans this week, and Gina is the one kind of leading the charge. And this might have been one of the most like trip initiation scenes we have had in the franchise history. She basically just like is lining everyone up and goes up to the second story of her house, kind of, like in New Orleans when you're throwing the beads off. And that's how she's like, says that she's on this, like, I guess, kind of spiritual type of journey, and New Orleans is the place to go, and she wants to take everyone to the Big Easy. And it's like, I don't know that any of that connected or, organically tied into anyone's story this season, but off to New Orleans we go. It was just like, like, I love these shows being produced and care and thought being put into them. I need it to translate naturally on camera a little bit. Like, it's almost like I got to, like, fool me a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I even tweeted last night. I was like, Jesus, this trip intro. Also, if you watch What Happens Live after Real Housewives of Orange County, Gina was on, and she basically discussing the Katie of it all, kind of like, you know, from Katie's first season until now, not just this season. And she was referencing last reunion when Emily brought up all these horrible things about Katie's past with custody issues. You know, the lady who's sitting here saying how messed up it is to bring people's kids into it decides to have custody conversations on a national global stage. But Gina was discussing that and said that while Emily was the deliverer of information that evening at the reunion, she was not the discoverer or the researcher of that information, which to me was no surprise. She admitted that it was Heather Dubrow who found all the information and gave it to Emily. So Gina, just tell us that your friend is a puppet without telling us, because, like, honestly, kind of how embarrassing. I literally, like, I hope that Heather and Tamra are literally getting producer pay on top of their talent pay, because they are literally producing and puppeteering Gina and Emily both, with Shannon in the middle getting the bad, looking like the you know, like she's kind of the cause of it all. Heather and Tamra are standing back, and Emily and Gina are getting it all set up. Like, the fact that Heather brought all that up found all that information last season, according to Gina, and the delivery was solely committed to Emily, says everything you need to say. Heather knows what she wants to do, and she knows that it's not going to be a good look for her to have her hands involved in it. So that's where you come in, Emily. You got bamboozled. Just saying. And Gina, you know, you got to be careful too. She even said, she's like, I'm going to get in trouble for saying this. Yeah, you are. Yes, you are. And I don't know. Are we going to see a day where, like, Tamra takes out, you know, her wrath on Emily and Gina? How are they going to react to that? Because it's coming, you know, and Heather too. I mean, like, what they're doing to Katie, they're going to eventually do to you. I solely believe, like, wholeheartedly believe, that Heather and Tamra, mostly Heather, are entirely behind everything remotely negative headed Katie's way in this show. I do. Speaking of negative, let's talk about Jacqueline Laurita, who also lives down in Orange County. Saw an article today that she was ordered to pay a hefty $760,000 judgment, her and Chris Laurita, to a law firm. According to the article, it says basically a legal team represented them in 2014 for another, like, it was for a bankruptcy case. And I think they didn't pay what they owed to the attorneys. So now they're having, let's see, the filing states the couple is charged $342,000 for legal services plus interest of $419,000, totaling $761,000. You know how to get $760,000 real quick is to sign on for Housewives of Orange County. Bravo. Start the negotiations. Get the conversations going. I think Jacqueline joining Real Housewives of Orange County would be iconic. She lives there. She knows some of the women. Having her as a friend of, like, obviously I'm Team Tree and thankful that Jacqueline and Teresa are good now, but, like, even in their bad days, you cannot take, Jacqueline is an underrated top tier housewife. Sorry for the construction and sawing of trees going down outside my apartment as to what it sounds like. Jacqueline, baby, that debt can be paid with one little season, you know, so depending on what kind of rate you get, but just saying, I think the stars are aligning. Also, let's move on to Housewives of Miami. they filmed their reunion this week, and the seating chart came out, and I lost it. So let me pull it up really quick. All right. So on one side, we're going from the end up to Andy. Adriana, Gertie, Lisa, Stephanie joins the very elite list of first season housewives, not one season. I think she'll be back. First season housewives to get first seat at the reunion. We've got Andy in the middle. Directly across from Stephanie is Alexia. Next to her is Larsa. It's Larsa. Julia, Marisol, and Kiki. So sounds like damn George of the Jungle out there. What are your thoughts on this Housewives of Miami seating chart? A lot of people had feelings about it, saying that Stephanie shouldn't be so high up, that Gertie shouldn't be so far, down on the couch. I will say, for me, with Julia and Gertie having such a strong focus so far this season, it is surprising to see both of them on the third chair. I do love the continued respect for OGs and making sure that one first seat is reserved for one, Alexia, and I'm glad that she got it. I don't really see why people were so up in arms about this seating chart. I kind of think it works. Even like one of my good friends in our group chat text, he was like, "This is crazy." I said, "In what way?" And he didn't respond. So I don't know if he just don't want to fight with me or if he can't explain himself. But I kind of think it works, so very exciting. I'm really excited that they seem to be killing it this season. We're already halfway through the season, which makes me sad. And speaking of killing it, I wanted to say there was I believe it was a Deadline article or Variety where one of the executive producers and an executive from NBC were talking about Miami and its success. And from season 6 to season 7, ratings are up 14%. Miami is a streaming success. Miami is Peacock perfection. I think, people talk about the live ratings, but clearly, Peacock is where people go to get their Miami fix. And a 14% increase in this day and age of television, baby, we'll take it. It's giving job security. So cut my girls another check. And I want to feel that rush. All right. Hi, Queen. She says, hey, Christian, happy Friday, everyone. Hope you have a happy Friday, too. And everyone watching, I hope you all have a happy Friday as we start to wrap up. I know today's was a little bit quick, but yours truly, look, the spirit of Vicky Gumbelson has fallen all over me. I am busy, and got to work. Thinking, finagling, responding. That is me. So I hope you all have a blessed and wonderful weekend. I'm not even going to mention that city in Utah that has not given us a trailer yet because I don't want to end on a bad note. And yeah, sending y'all blessings, love. I hope you have a good weekend with your friends. Tell them you love them. And I'll be right back here next Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 3 p.m. on Hurrdat's YouTube, 3 p.m. Eastern, that is. So for all you West Coast girlies or all you girlies overseas, make sure we get the times aligned, and I'll meet you right back here, okay? Besos, y'all.